30 years back, there was Tiananmen Square. China unleashed its troops on protesters asking for democratic reform. The year was 1989. There was a massacre. Now the year is 2020. China does not have to roll out tanks anymore. It can kill democracy with the law. Hong Kong, as we know it, may soon be history. China is taking control, ending Hong Kong's autonomy. Despite protests both on the streets of Hong Kong and in international political circles, Beijing is imposing a controversial law, the National Security Law. It was proposed almost a week back. Today it has been passed. China's parliament, the National People's Congress, has approved it. And this comes as no surprise, because the Chinese parliament, the NPC, is essentially a rubber stamp parliament. These pictures are from the precise moment when the law was passed. This is the Great Hall of the People. All the delegates you see, including the ones representing Hong Kong, were of course inside this hall. And here is the final vote count. 2,878 votes in favor, 1 against. Just 1 delegate was against it. 6 chose to abstain. If this isn't orchestrated, what is? Like we told you, it's a rubber stamp parliament. When the bill was passed, there was an applause. And this is in stark contrast to what was happening in Hong Kong around the same time. Some very different scenes were playing out. In Hong Kong, there were clashes. The Legislative Council was debating a different bill, but the anger against Beijing was quite apparent. What was the bill that Hong Kong's lawmakers were discussing? A bill that would make disrespecting China's national anthem a criminal offense. An opposition lawmaker got so angry, he got up, spoke against the bill, and threw rotten plants at the president's seat. The lawmaker said that the rotten plants symbolize the decay of Hong Kong's political system. 2 pro-democracy lawmakers were made to leave. Emergency services were called in. Security guards were seen covering the container. 1 official was seen spraying air purifier around the chamber. All of this is a signal of things to come. Pro-democracy protesters are gearing up to fight Beijing on the streets again. China's move to impose a national security law on Hong Kong will lead to an angry backlash. Here is why Beijing's new law is being described as a death knell for Hong Kong. This new law allows China to install its own security agencies in the region. This law gives China the power to quash any protest in Hong Kong. The devil, they say, is in the detail. But there are no details. The final law has not even been drafted yet. We don't know what shape it will take, what specific provisions it may have. What was passed today in Beijing was just a draft resolution. The draft will now go to the Standing Committee of the Communist Party, the top leadership of China, Xi Jinping and 6 others. They get to decide what the final law will look like. And Hong Kong most likely will not have any say in the process. Once the law is written, the leadership of Hong Kong, that is appointed by Beijing, will be required to enforce it immediately. Hong Kong will lose its autonomy, its independence, its freedoms. Hong Kong's judicial system will look more like China's. Activist groups could face bans. Pro-democracy campaigners could be thrown in jail for a long period of time. This is what China has done. In the face of rising protests, in the full glare of the global community, China is killing the democracy of Hong Kong. But this time, world powers are not mute spectators. This is not 1989. They're hitting back at Beijing with a series of retaliatory moves.